On March 25, 2026, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin issued an emergency fuel waiver. Starting May 1, 2026, E15 gasoline blended with 15% ethanol is now approved for nationwide summer sale at existing pumps across the country. The stated reason? Middle East, fuel supply disruption. The actual consequence for you, the fuel that the EPA itself says is illegal for use in motorcycles, is now going to be sitting in the same pumps you have been using to fill your tank, labeled as Unleaded 88, with no requirement for clear warnings that it will damage your motorcycle engine, void your warranty, and in the EPA's own words, raise engine failure concerns from overheating in motorcycles and non-road products. Not one of the estimated 22 million motorcycles currently in use in the United States is certified to operate on fuel containing more than 10% ethanol. Not one. The American Motorcyclist Association has been fighting this for years. They sued the EPA over the last time this happened, in 2019. The DC Circuit Court of Appeals struck that rule down in 2021. Now it is back. This is the environment you are fueling your motorcycle in right now, and it makes knowing which stations to avoid and which stations to trust more important than it has ever been. Let's count down. Number 10, any pump labeled Unleaded, 88. Before we get to specific brands, you need to understand what is happening at the pump level because this directly affects every station on this list. Unleaded 88 is a marketing name for E15, the same fuel that is prohibited by the EPA for use in motorcycles. The same fuel the AMA has been fighting in federal court. The same fuel that the EPA's own research identified as causing engine failure concerns from overheating in motorcycle engines. Gas stations began marketing E15 as Unleaded 88, specifically because research showed consumers were confused by the ethanol percentage labeling. The new name sounds like a standard fuel grade. It is not. The octane rating is 88, which falls between regular 87 and mid-grade 89, which is why it looks like a reasonable choice at a blender pump. It is not a reasonable choice for your motorcycle. On March 25, 2026, the EPA issued a nationwide emergency waiver allowing E15 summer sales beginning May 1, 2026. The label may say Unleaded 88. The pump may look identical to the regular pump next to it. If you fill your motorcycle from that pump, you have just voided your warranty, put 15% ethanol through a fuel system designed for 10% maximum, and created conditions for the accelerated corrosion of rubber seals, fuel lines, and injector components that the ethanol will begin immediately. The rule at every pump you use from this point forward, read the small label on the nozzle before you squeeze the handle. If it says E15, Unleaded 88, or anything indicating 15% ethanol, do not use it. Move to the next pump or leave the station. And if you think that single pump warning is enough, the next entry is why the station itself matters. Number 9, 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven does not refine its own fuel. They purchase from whatever local supplier offers the lowest price that week. The fuel coming out of a 7-Eleven pump in Ohio may have come from a completely different refinery than the fuel at a 7-Eleven 20 miles away. There is no consistent additive package, no guaranteed detergent level, and no quality control mechanism that applies across the chain. For a car engine, inconsistent detergent levels accelerate carbon buildup on intake valves and injectors over thousands of miles. For a motorcycle engine running at higher RPM, higher temperature, and tighter tolerances than any passenger car engine, that same inconsistency produces consequences faster and more severely. 7-Eleven purchased Speedway in 2021 and is not a top-tier fuel retailer. The top-tier certification standard, established by BMW, Honda, Toyota, General Motors, Ford, and Volkswagen, requires fuel to contain 2 to 3 times the detergent additive level mandated by the EPA minimum. The extra additives cost less than a cent per gallon to add. The reason stations skip them is margin. A cent per gallon across millions of gallons is a significant number when your business model is built on fuel volume. A motorcycle engine that runs on consistently low detergent fuel develops injector fouling and intake valve deposits at a rate that accelerates with every tank. The deposits do not announce themselves. They accumulate. The first symptom is a slight roughness at idle that most riders attribute to something else. By the time the symptom is obvious, the damage is already done, and the repair is not cheap. And if inconsistent quality at 7-Eleven concerns you, the next station built an entire business model around having no quality standard at all. Number 8. Murphy USA at Walmart. Murphy USA's business model has one pillar: sell gas cheaper than anyone else near a Walmart parking lot. When the entire competitive strategy is price, the detergent additive package is the first thing that gets optimized downward. Murphy USA is not top-tier certified. Their fuel meets the EPA legal minimum for detergents. The EPA minimum is the floor, not the standard. It is the least amount of cleaning agent that the regulatory framework requires, set in an era before direct injection engines and modern fuel system tolerances. Here is the specific problem for motorcycle riders. E15 has 1/3 less energy than pure gasoline. Low detergent fuel compounds that problem. You are putting less energy through a less clean fuel system, which means your engine is working harder to produce the same output it produced on better fuel 6 months ago. The rider notices this as a slight loss of throttle response. They adjust their riding to compensate. The engine continues to degrade. I have seen the inside of engines that ran on minimum standard fuel for 3 years. The injector tips look like they have been dipped in carbon paste. The intake valves on a carbureted engine look like someone packed modeling clay around the stem. The engine is not broken, it is tired, and tired engines require expensive intervention to become useful again. Murphy USA is the cheapest fuel near the store where you shop for everything else. The convenience is real. The cost to your engine is also real, and it comes due on a timeline most riders never connect back to their fueling choices. But if Murphy concerns you, the next one actively participated in a federal fraud investigation. Number 7. Pilot Flying J. In 2013, the FBI raided Pilot Flying J's headquarters in Knoxville, Tennessee. The company ultimately admitted to cheating truckers, the professional drivers who depend on fuel quality more than any other road users, out of fuel rebates they were owed. The scheme involved manipulating rebate calculations to underpay customers who had contractual agreements for fuel discounts. Multiple state investigators subsequently documented concerns about fuel quality at numerous locations. For motorcycle riders specifically, Pilot Flying J presents the same problem as every high-volume truck stop chain. Underground storage tanks that hold hundreds of thousands of gallons turn over rapidly and are subject to the contamination risks that come with high-volume, high-speed fueling operations. Water infiltration, sediment from rapid tank cycling, inconsistent additive application across hundreds of locations. Pilot Flying J is not top-tier certified. It is one of the most recognizable names on the American highway. It is convenient when you are 300 miles from home and your tank is low. Convenience and quality are not the same thing, and at Pilot Flying J, they are specifically not the same thing. For a carbureted motorcycle, water contamination in the fuel produces immediate symptoms: rough idle, hesitation at partial throttle, stalling at low speed. For a fuel-injected bike, the symptoms develop more slowly as the water works through the injectors and the fuel pressure regulator. Either way, the diagnosis is the same, and the cure is the same, and neither is cheap. The fraud history does not end with fuel quality concerns. It tells you something about how this company prioritizes profit versus the rider trusting their pump. Number 6. Circle K. Circle K operates over 7,000 locations across the United States and Canada. It is one of the most ubiquitous fuel brands on the American road. It is not top-tier certified. Its fuel comes from local distributors who vary by region, which means the fuel quality at a Circle K in Georgia may be substantially different from the fuel at a Circle K in Minnesota. The specific risk for vintage motorcycle riders is the ethanol content variability in non-top-tier fuel. Ethanol causes corrosion of metal components, degrades rubber and plastic parts, and promotes varnish buildup in injectors. Water absorption can lead to phase separation, causing poor atomization and engine misfires. For a modern fuel-injected bike, these effects accumulate over time. For a carbureted bike from the 1970s or 1980s, the effects are immediate and specific. The ethanol attacks the rubber components in the carburetor, needle valve seats, accelerator pump diaphragms, float valve tips that were manufactured before ethanol blended fuel was standard. These components were not designed for ethanol exposure. They swell, degrade, and fail in a pattern that produces symptoms that look like tuning problems, but are actually material failures that require rebuilding or replacing the carburetor. If you are riding a vintage machine that left the factory before 1990, Circle K's fuel is not the right choice for your bike, regardless of whether the pump says E10. The detergent inconsistency and the ethanol content variability make it a risk your fuel system is not equipped to manage. Number 5. Speedway was acquired by 7-Eleven in 2021 for a reported $21 billion. The corporate marriage produced no improvement in fuel quality certification. Speedway remains outside the top tier program. The 3,275 locations across the Midwest and East Coast continue to sell fuel that meets the EPA minimum and nothing more. The Speedway situation is the clearest example of the corporate acquisition problem in the fuel retail industry. An independently operated chain with its own quality standards gets absorbed into a larger corporation whose primary interest is volume and margin. The fuel quality policy that existed before the acquisition either disappears into the parent company's procurement framework or becomes a line item that gets reviewed against cost targets every year. The extra detergent additives that separate top-tier fuel from EPA minimum fuel cost less than a cent per gallon. For a chain with thousands of locations selling millions of gallons, that cent per gallon is a significant annual cost. When the company acquiring you paid $21 billion for the deal, reducing per gallon costs becomes an imperative. The rider filling up at a Speedway that used to have a quality standard is now filling up at a pump that reflects 7-Eleven's procurement economics, not any independent quality commitment. Number 4. Sam's Club. The assumption most riders make is that a warehouse brand committed to delivering value to members would not compromise on a product as safety critical as fuel. That assumption is not supported by the certification data. Sam's Club fuel is not top-tier certified. It is sourced from local suppliers that vary by region. The warehouse retail model, high volume, low margin, cost leadership, produces the same pressure on additive packages that it produces on every other product the warehouse sells. The cheapest supplier who meets the legal minimum wins the contract. As of 2026, top-tier detergent gasoline is available from 105 licensed retail brands. Sam's Club is not among them despite being one of the largest fuel retailers in the country by volume. The specific motorcycle concern with Sam's Club fuel is storage tank cycle. Warehouse fuel stations move enormous volumes quickly. High turnover means fresh fuel, but it also means the underground tanks are subject to the condensation and water infiltration that comes with rapid temperature cycling, full tanks warming, empty tanks cooling, moisture forming on the tank walls, and settling to the bottom where it gets pumped to the first vehicle that fills after the water accumulates. A Costco, which is top-tier certified, moves comparable volumes with documented tank inspection protocols and filtration systems specifically designed to prevent contamination. Sam's Club does not publish equivalent quality control documentation. The difference is one certified program and everything that it requires versus a legal minimum and nothing more. And if you think a warehouse without quality certification is bad, the next brand is a certified brand that just dropped its certification. Number 3. BP regular grade. This one requires specificity because BP is not a single product. BP's Amoco, Ultimate, and their premium grades have historically maintained strong detergent packages. Their regular grade is the problem. BP recently dropped top tier certification because they believe their Invigorate fuel outperformed top tier. That may be true for their premium grade. For their regular grade, the removal of the top tier commitment removes the only independent verification that the detergent level in the fuel you're buying is above the EPA minimum. For a motorcycle rider, regular grade is the relevant product. Most motorcycles do not require premium octane. Most riders fill with regular. BP's regular grade now carries no third-party certification that its detergent level protects your engine above the legal floor. The Invigorate additive package may genuinely be superior to top-tier standards on paper, but the removal from the certification program removes the independent testing requirement that verifies that claim on every batch, at every station, in every grade. You are taking BP's word for it without any third-party verification. That is a different risk profile from a certified brand. For the rider who has been defaulting to BP because it seemed like a quality option, The removal of top-tier certification is the specific change that makes it no longer the automatic choice it used to be. Number 2, any blender pump you do not read before using. A blender pump is a single dispenser that can produce multiple fuel grades including E10, E15, E20, and E85, depending on the blend selected. The pump looks identical to a standard multi-grade dispenser. The handle colors may be different. The labels are often small and positioned below eye level. The AMA argues that a lack of clear and strong warnings concerning the risk of E15 or any ethanol blends at the pump leads to a greater potential of misfueling. Current misfueling mitigation efforts have never adequately informed consumers of the risk of E15 to their vehicles. This is the specific mechanism of unintentional engine damage that the EPA March 2026 waiver has made dramatically more likely. Before May 1, 2026, E15 was prohibited during summer driving season, the period when most motorcycle miles are ridden. After May 1, 2026, E15 is available at any pump in any state that chooses to sell it, under whatever marketing name the station uses, with whatever label size the station's management decides to post. The AMA has pushed for fuel pump labels that include the word warning in large type, along with clear identification of vehicles prohibited from using E15, including motorcycles. That requirement does not currently exist nationwide. I personally think the blender pump is the most specific and immediate threat to motorcycle engines in the American market right now, not in 3 years when the deposits accumulate. Right now. This summer. Starting in May. When a rider pulls up to a blender pump that used to have E10 only and now has E15 available, fills his tank without reading the small label, and rides away on fuel the EPA itself says causes engine failure concerns in his specific machine. Read the nozzle. Every time. Without exception. Number 1. The station with no top-tier certification and a blender pump. The combination that produces the highest risk of motorcycle engine damage is not any single brand. It is the station that has no top-tier certification, meaning minimum detergents by legal definition, and a blender pump, meaning E15 is now potentially available at that location starting this summer. That combination exists at thousands of locations across the United States. The brands most likely to have it are unbranded independent stations, convenience chain stations not on the top tier list, and any high-volume discount station that sells Unleaded 88 as a price-competitive option. The specific damage profile. Low detergent fuel accelerates carbon and varnish accumulation on injectors and intake valves over months. E15 misfueling adds ethanol corrosion of rubber components, phase separation risk in fuel that sits in the tank for more than 30 days, and engine temperature elevation that the EPA's own research raised as an overheating concern for motorcycle engines specifically. These two damage mechanisms compound. They do not add, they multiply. The engine running on low detergent fuel with elevated ethanol content is experiencing accelerated deposit formation and accelerated component degradation simultaneously. The rider does not notice until the repair bill arrives. The 5 that will save your engine. Number 5, Marathon. Marathon Petroleum achieved top-tier certification with STP additives incorporated into all grades. Marathon is available in 19 states, concentrated in the Midwest and Southeast, where a significant portion of your riding audience is located. The STP additive package has a documented detergent history that predates the top-tier program. If there is a Marathon near your regular routes, it is a confirmed quality option. Number 4, Phillips 66. These 3 brands are operated under the same parent company and all carry top-tier certification across all grades. Phillips 66 was among the original top-tier certifiers in 2004. The detergent consistency is verifiable across locations. For riders in the central and western United States, this is one of the most accessible top-tier options outside the premium tier brands. Number 3, Shell. Shell's V-Power Nitro Plus is the premium product, but all Shell grades carry top-tier certification. Shell's nitrogen-enriched cleaning technology creates a protective barrier on injector surfaces that reduces deposit formation between tank fills. Shell has maintained top-tier certification continuously since the program's founding. The consistency across locations, where every Shell station must meet the same standard before the brand qualifies, makes it reliable regardless of which state you fill up in. Number 2, Chevron with Techron. Chevron was among the first top-tier certifiers in 2004. The Techron additive package uses polytheramine compounds at 3 to 4 times the EPA minimum detergent requirement. Techron is available separately as a fuel system cleaner for engines with existing deposits. For an engine already running on low detergent fuel, switching to Chevron and adding a bottle of Techron concentrate is the documented recovery protocol: cleanup, then maintenance. Chevron is the fuel that makes both steps part of the same product ecosystem. Number 1, Costco. Costco is top-tier certified. Their fuel costs less per gallon than most top-tier alternatives. The reason? Costco turns over their entire tank inventory every 24 to 48 hours, which means the fuel is fresh and the contamination risk from prolonged storage is minimized. Monthly tank inspections and filtration systems are documented as part of their fuel quality protocol. The counterintuitive reality of Costco Fuel, the warehouse that sells everything in bulk, provides the highest quality motorcycle fuel at the lowest price, is the most useful single fact in this entire video. If there is a Costco near you or near your regular routes, it is the correct default fueling choice until a reason emerges to change it. The full list of top-tier certified brands is at toptiergas.com. They also have a station finder app. Download it. Use it before you fill up somewhere unfamiliar. That app is the most important motorcycle maintenance tool you can have on your phone this summer when E15 is being sold at blender pumps nationwide, and the label telling you to avoid it is smaller than your thumbnail. I drive a 2000 Ford Ranger with 340,000 miles on it. Paid cash. Every maintenance decision I make on that truck is based on what the machine actually needs. The fuel going into the tank is part of that decision, not an afterthought. The fuel going into your motorcycle is the one maintenance variable that changes every few hundred miles, and the one that most riders have never applied any standard to beyond whatever pump is closest. The top-tier certification costs the station less than a cent per gallon to provide. The damage from consistently choosing non-certified fuel accumulates on a timeline most riders never trace back to the pump. The E15 situation that just changed in March 2026 makes this more urgent than it has ever been. Not eventually. This summer, starting in May, when the pumps at thousands of stations across the country will have E15 available under a name that looks like a standard fuel grade, with labels that the AMA has documented for years are not adequate to protect riders from misfueling. Read the nozzle. Choose top tier when you can. Use the Station Finder app. And know that the $4 difference between the cheapest pump and the Costco pump is not a cost. It is the cheapest motorcycle maintenance item available. The 2026 Motorcycle Buyer's Bible has the complete fuel selection guide, the ethanol damage documentation for specific engine types, the storage protocol for bikes that sit for 30 days or more, and the full maintenance schedule built around what your machine actually needs, rather than what the dealer service department recommends. It was $97, now $9. Link in the description. Drop your bike model and the station you have been using in the comments. I want to know how many riders have been filling up at non-certified stations without knowing the certification even existed. Stay safe. Ride smart. Read the nozzle before you squeeze the handle.